I now call this regular meeting of the Board of Education to order at 7:01 p.m. Can you please call the roll?
Ms. Pearson? Ms. Chavez?
Here.
Ms. McCall?
Present.
Ms. Bennett?
Here.
Mr. Carpenter?
Here.
Ms. Haley?
Here.
Ms. Stanford?
Here.
With 6 present, 1 absent, we have a quorum.
Thank you. We will now take a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. As we start each board meeting, it's important to remember that the mission of the Rockford Public Schools is to collaboratively engage all students in an equitable, first-class education for a changing world. Before we go any further, we'd like to thank Kim Pedersen and Aaron Hill, who are working behind the scenes to produce the board's broadcast via YouTube live stream and Comcast Channel 20. The first, or number 2 on the agenda, public hearing. This item is for the Board of Education, is a public hearing to receive public comments on the proposal to sell bonds in an amount not to exceed $50 million for the purpose of increasing the working cash fund of the district. These are the working cash bonds. And number 2, bonds in an amount not to exceed $10 million for the purpose of conforming its existing facilities that house students to the building code promulgated by the State Board of Education of the State of Illinois by altering, reconstructing, and repairing said facilities and having equipment purchased and installed therein. These are the life safety bonds. All persons desiring to be heard are now being given an opportunity to present oral and written testimony with respect to the proposed issuance of the working cash bonds. Are there any speakers for the sale of the $50 million bonds for increasing the working cash fund? Are there any board member comments? Thank you. All persons desiring to be heard have been given an opportunity to present oral and written testimony with respect to the proposed issuance of the working cash bonds. I will now open the discussion for the proposed issuance of the life safety bonds as follows. For the purpose of conforming its existing facilities that house students to the building code promulgated by the State Board of Education of the State of Illinois by altering, reconstructing, and repairing said facilities and having equipment purchased and installed therein. Are there any speakers for the issuance of the life safety bonds? Are there any board member comments? Thank you. All persons desiring to be heard have been given an opportunity to present oral and written testimony with respect to the proposed issuance of the life safety bonds. I will now take a motion and a second to adjourn the public hearing portion of the meeting.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Can you please call the roll?
Ms. Chavez?
Yes.
Ms. McCall?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Ms. Haley?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
The motion passes with 6 yeses, 1 absent.
Thank you. Moving on to the next agenda item, number 3, we will now recognize and celebrate outstanding contributions. And we are going to have Ms. Pearson. Ms. Pearson will be leading that. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. We are excited to honor our PS 205's outstanding staff, students, and coaches to celebrate their great achievements. We're doing recognitions a little different this year. After you hear your name or team called, you will come forward and make your way through the inner circle to shake hands with the school board members and the superintendent's cabinet. You will then proceed to the hallway where you receive your certificate, pin, and have an opportunity for photographs. Audience, please hold your applause until the very end. We apologize in advance if we pronounce any names incorrectly. We'll start with athletics. The following middle school student athletes and their coaches qualified for the IESA State Cross Country Meet. In Class 2A from Barber, Angelina Escobar and her coach, Ashley Roberman. In Class 2A from Montessori, athletes Alexis Reedy and Andrew Korski, along with their coach, Hannah Holmes. In Class 3A from Marshall, Charlotte Versino and coach, Matt Kurtz. In Class 4A from Eisenhower, Delilah Party, Eden Layback, and Xander Viborny with their coach, Svetoslav Bonev. And also in Class 4A from Flynn, Ethan Becker and coach Nick Van Evra. Guilford High School freshman Rory Sweet qualified for the girls golf state tournament at Hickory Point Golf Course in Forsyth, Illinois on October 10th. She scored an 81 at the sectional event in Aurora. Congratulations to our student athletes and their coaches. Let's give them a round of applause. Next up, in fine arts, and this is a long one, the following students auditioned and qualified for the 2025 Illinois Music Education Association District 8 Festival. ILMEA offers opportunities for students to participate in competitive auditions for band, choir, orchestra, and jazz ensembles, with top performers advancing to the state level all-state student programs. For Auburn, under the faculty direction of band teacher Wes Braybeck, orchestra teacher Peter Finnegan, and chorus teacher Marissa Martinez. We have for senior band and senior orchestra, Alex Benedicto. Also for senior band, Benjamin Kindler and Braden Velez. For senior chorus, Ma Bless, Benjamin Garner, Elena Knox, Ryan Marino, Samuel Michaels, Mew, Emberly Siegel, Ella Sides, and Isaiah Ying. For senior orchestra, Julia Kurian, Camilla Para, Rishi Salagrama, Eliora Schluter, Derek Turner, and Elena Yelachi, thank you. For East High School, under the direction of chorus teacher Brittany Kieselhorst and band teacher Amy Kalk, Bella Rodas for senior chorus, and Athena Williams for senior orchestra. For Guilford High School, under the faculty direction of band and orchestra teacher Courtney Kubacki and chorus teacher Daniel Walls. For senior band, Emma Avalea, Fern Coots, Emmanuel Leon, and Leslie Sanchez Cisneros. For senior chorus, Michelle Arce, Jamar Jordan, Eleanor McCune, Isaac Moraski, Jonathan Murphy, Anna Peachy, Abigail Rabone, Jason Teal, and Albert Warren. For senior orchestra, Sarah Hobart and Victor Osorio. And for senior vocal jazz 1, Zella Hamilton. Now for Jefferson High School, under the faculty direction of chorus teacher Jerry Buckley and band teacher Benjamin Randecker, we have for senior band, Leno Gonzalez, Eduardo Tamayo, and Kristen Vieira. For senior chorus, Tyler Bevins, Autumn Halfacre, and Stan Paw. And for senior jazz band 2, Elijah Rodriguez. For West Middle School, under the faculty direction of band teacher Brian Hildreth, orchestra teacher Jamie Kovach, and chorus teacher Brian Ifes, thank you, sorry. For junior band, we have Aubrey Hamberlin, Sebastian Herrera, and Jackson Tapp. Olivia Graciar for junior chorus. And for junior orchestra, Thomas Alonzo, Abriana Campbell, Davon Jones, and Solars Zook. For Eisenhower Middle School, under the faculty direction of band teacher Robin Heitman, we have Nicole Dominguez for junior band. For Marshall Middle School, under the faculty direction of band teacher Georgia Spino and orchestra teacher Mr. Finnegan again. For junior band, Elizabeth Lowry and Ruby Kindler. For junior orchestra, Hudson Carlin, Jaitan Jasufi, Gia Tartaglia, Shlok Mabidi, Ava Nelson, and Estella Weirda. Congratulations to all the students and faculty for a job well done. Next, we recognize Guilford High School senior Aiden Khalil, who has earned the rank of Eagle Scout in Troop 139. Becoming an Eagle Scout takes years of dedication. Scouts first advance through Scout Tenderfoot, second class, and first class, building skills and teamwork. Then they progress through Star, Life, and Eagle, developing leadership and teamwork. Then they earning 21 merit badges, 14 are required, serving in troop leadership and completing a major service project before the age of 18. For his Eagle project, Aiden led a beautification project at St. Ansgar's Church. He built a garbage corral, cleared and trimmed 128 feet of trees, tilled and mulched the fence line, and organized volunteers to weed and mulch the church's front area. He called his project God's Shield. Congratulations, Aiden, on this outstanding accomplishment. And last but certainly not least, we would like to recognize STEM teacher at Marshall Middle School, Stacy Wallace. She has been selected as the 2025 TEAI Middle School Teacher of the Year. TEAI is the Technology Education Association of Illinois. This award acknowledges the outstanding technology teacher who uses the latest developments and uses this knowledge to constantly upgrade classroom curriculum and activities. Ms. Wallace will now represent Illinois at the National Conference in Virginia Beach in March. Congratulations. That concludes the recognitions portion of the board meeting. Let's give everyone a warm round of applause. Thank you for coming and have a good evening. We are going to take a 5-minute break for photo opportunities. When we return, we will have a presentation from our Sisters for Change. Thank you.
All right, we're going to actually not take a break for the meeting. There'll be, yeah. I don't know if we can shut the door maybe for, because we're going to continue with the meeting. It's a little bit loud. Is that what this is? Okay. Okay, and so we'll continue with your committee, Ms. Haley and Ms. Stanford.
Good evening, and thank you all for being here. My name is Kimberly Haley, and I am honored to introduce the official launch of Sisters for Change. Tonight makes an important moment as we begin shaping a space designed to uplift, guide, and empower our young scholars through the BAGS framework. That's behavior, attendance, grades, and social-emotional growth.
Throughout this presentation, you'll hear from several members of their leadership team. They will share their vision, the goals that drive this work, and the impact they are committed to making within our schools. Each voice you hear tonight plays a meaningful role in bringing this initiative to life. At this time, it's my privilege to introduce the creator of Brothers and Sisters for Change and our Chief of Culture and Student Engagement, Dr. Antoine Reed.
All righty, thank you all for allowing us to be back. And as you can see, I'm with the sisters. They always are gonna one up the brothers. And so we are proud to come back to talk about the initiative that we started at the beginning of the year. And BAGS is our district-wide initiative, and we wanted to pair our sisters who will be joining us today, and they have a second lens that they're gonna bring to our wraparound support. So where the brothers are focused on leadership for our scholars, the sisters are focusing on restorative practice. Where our brothers are focusing on engagement as it relates to attendance, our sisters are going to talk today about the root cause. Then while our brothers are talking about taking risk in that classroom, our sisters today are going to talk about culturally relevant instruction. And where our brothers have to focus on solving conflict peacefully, our sisters are going to focus on making sure our teachers are trauma-informed and our staff are trauma-informed so we can make sure we're getting proactive on these things. So it's a great honor that I introduce Ms. McNeil and Anna to kick off the Sisters for Change.
Good evening. My name is Jarmise McNeil, and I am the Cultural and Student Engagement Manager here for Rockford Public Schools. And I just wanted to introduce Sisters for Change. So Sisters for Change is not a movement. We are a group of strong, powerful women of color who are ready to take action and pour into our young girls of color, which we will take action through leadership and mentorship. Sorry. So this program was built on understanding that the female experience, particularly for girls of color, is unique and layered. It provides safe spaces for these students to explore who they are, build community, and find strength in shared experiences. And our vision is to cultivate confidence, show these girls that they are resilient, show them their purpose, their values, show them that they belong. That is an important piece and a passion, is to show them that they do belong. So now we'll start with why Sisters for Change matters with Tamara and Lakita.
Hello, my name is Tamara Butler, and I'm the 8th grade principal at RESA, as well as the advocacy partner for Teach Plus and ISBE for the Rockford region of BIPOC educators, Black, Indigenous people of color. Sisters for Change is essential not only for students, but the sisters who are providing the mentoring. When girls see mentors who share their racial and cultural background, it affirms that their identity is valuable, capable, and powerful. It creates a sense of belonging, specifically in spaces where girls may be underrepresented. The students participating in this program may grow up to become mentors themselves, therefore expanding representation and reshaping systems that have historically excluded us, me. For most sisters in education, it's not just a job, but a calling rooted in service, justice, and community. Mentoring Black and brown female students helps retain Black and brown teachers because it strengthens their purpose, belonging, leadership, and community, all key elements of long-term educator satisfaction and sustainability. Next, I have Lakita Wright.
As a scholar, I always found it helpful when my aunt, my grandmother, and my mom taught me how to be a young lady. Thinking about the scholars that Sister for Change will be supporting, they may not have someone to help them understand certain things about themselves. And that's where Sister for Change comes into play. We are going to support the scholars in various ways, such as building their self-worth. We're going to help them create goals, personal and academic goals, and we're also going to help them navigate healthy friendships. Lastly, I leave you with, not only are the scholars that are going to be joining Sister for Change will be uplifting themselves and uplifting others, but they're also, building their strategy toolbox while they're a part of Sister for Change. Thank you. And next, I bring up Ms. Ivy and Dr. Turner.
Good evening. My name is Alvina Ivy. I am a product of Rockford Public Schools and proud and honored to serve as the Director of Instruction K-12. As you can see, the potential of Sisters for Change offers more than support. We are expanding opportunity. Through hands-on skill building in financial literacy, self-care, and leadership, girls gain tools that directly strengthen their focus, confidence, and readiness for learning. The women who will lead this work will endeavor to be models of accountability, reflection, and the habit of showing up fully for one another, and that demonstration will translate into improved self-awareness, greater belonging, and better instructional performance. This initiative can change academic trajectories, and it's also transformative.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Taryn Turner. I'm a Director of Alternative Learning Programming in the Student Services Department. Meeting our girls where they're at consists of 3 elements. I want to talk to you about those 3 elements this evening. 1, we were focused on responsive programming. The needs of our girls will drive our work. We will show up to every session ready to respond to the individual needs because each girl's journey is unique. 2, cultural competency and care. It is essential that we lead with empathy and patience to meet students where they are, emotionally, academically, and personally. 3, empowering growth from within. We are not trying to change who our girls are. In order for our girls to have a sense of belonging, they must feel seen. Our goal is to enhance their school experience by highlighting their brilliance and affirming their greatness. Thank you. I now introduce Ms. Anna Thompson.
Buenas noches. My name is Anna Thompson. I am a recruitment coordinator here in the admin building. Culturally relevant programming, language inclusivity, and representation play a significant role in improving academic performance for Latino and Hispanic students. When curriculum and school activities reflect students' cultural experiences, engagement and motivation increase, leading to stronger comprehension and more consistent academic effort. Language inclusive practices, such as bilingual communication, translation support, and guided instruction ensure students have full access to learning, reducing misunderstandings, and improving assignment completion. Additionally, representation among staff strengthens student-teacher relationships and builds academic confidence, encouraging students to seek help, participate more actively, and remain connected to school. When students are supported by adults who understand and can relate to their experiences, we create the conditions for meaningful connections and positive school culture. Parents and family members feel connected as well, not only to their child or teacher, but because they feel seen, have a sense of pride, orgullo, and play an active role in their child's educational success. Together, these elements foster a supportive and equitable learning environment that directly contributes to higher grades and improved academic outcomes for Latino and Hispanic students. Muchas gracias.
Sisters for Change has had the opportunity to take 20 girls, and we partnered with Triculture University and gave them an experience. Things that our young girls go through is their hair. They can get teased about their hair, things like that, or not want to go to school because their hair is not done. Their parents might not have enough time to get their hair done. So it's more than just getting their hair done. It's the overall experience that they're able to give. And so I would like to share the event that happened on that day. How do you feel now that your hair is done?
I feel good.
You feel good? How did you feel before you got your hair done?
I didn't want to go in school. Like,
Why?
I was like, because my hair was a mess, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, how were you treated by others before you got your hair done?
People were calling me ugly and stuff, but I didn't let that affect my day.
Okay, that's good, keeping a positive mind. But now, how you gonna go to school now that you got your hair done? So how do you feel now that your hair is done? Good. How did you feel before you got your hair done? How did you feel like in school?
Not really good.
Not really good? Why is that?
Because kids kept on making fun of me about my hair.
They were making fun of you? Okay. So now when you go back to school on Monday, how you gonna walk up in school? Oh, skip your way in there. Okay. All right, and so now I'll introduce back Dr. Reed.
I know you saw that scholar skip right there, right? Yes. Well, I'm going to introduce you to some of the people that make that skip happen, because, see, what we need to do is we got to look at the root cause. If it takes making sure a scholar's hair is cut and they feel good to come to school, unfortunately, we got to take that route. And I'm thankful to partner with these persons behind me, because they make that thing happen. So I'm going to introduce first our Barber College, and then I'll introduce DeCroce.
Good evening. I'm Sherry Matlock. This is Kennedy Porter. I am the proud owner of First Cut Barber College. We are, Kennedy and I, we are honored to support the scholars of RPS 205. And the partnership, we are here to assist the scholars to look and feel better, build confidence, and lighten the load for families and parents. We are here, and I am here to change lives. And not just because I partnered with RPS 205. My lifelong journey has been, even when I was at St. Peter in the yearbook. It said, I want to do hair. So here I am, and now owning the school, and we really hope to change lives with RPS 205 going forward. Thank you.
All righty, and then here's our assistant from Mara Chikosi. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Michelle Folletti. I'm the campus director for Turcotte University. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm emotional. This was really an honor for us to be able to change these girls' lives and to see them, just to see them smile and skipping and be happy because they got their hair done. It is the simplest thing for us to be able to do someone's hair. So we're very proud to be partnered with Sisters of Change and be able to change these young scholars' lives by something as simple as getting your hair done. Really, for us, it really is that simple. It's doing hair. It's what we do every day for ourselves, for all of our guests, for all of our young people. And you all know when you look good, you feel good. So if we can continue to give back and to continue to partner with Sisters for Change, we'll continue to do that and give back to our community. So we're proud to be here tonight and to be a part of all of this.
All righty. You all, I want you to stand with me for this last part because we are not doing this for fun. You all heard everybody talk the word scholar, right? But what does it mean to be a scholar? How do you transition a student to a scholar? See, a student has to sit and give whatever you give them. But see, a scholar is someone that can give to you, that can cultivate the room. And the way we do that is you have to move a scholar from surviving to thriving. Why is that so? See, in survival mode, your scores don't matter. Your lesson plan don't matter. Nothing matters in that school when I'm in survival mode. See, when I'm in thriving, I'm flourishing, because in survival mode, I might not even know who's trying to save me until you pull me out. We have to get our scholars out of that mode into thriving. And what we're going to do is we're going to continue to partner with our schools. This initiative is not just checking the box. It's not just changing scores. It is changing lives. So thank you, sisters, and thank you for this event.
All right, thank you very much for that powerful presentation. We're now moving on to item 4, petitions and communications, portion of our meeting where we invite the public to make comments. Slurs, profanity, harassment will not be tolerated. If any speaker uses unacceptable language, they may be directed to surrender the remainder of their speaking time and may be restricted from comment in the future, from public comment in the future. The board will not respond to the comments at this time. If it's appropriate, you will be contacted in a timely manner by staff. Each speaker will be allowed no more than 3 minutes to address the board. It is not appropriate to discuss matters that would otherwise be confidential in these open meetings. On the left, there is 2 digital clocks. One shows the total time allotted to public comments, and one shows the total time for each speaker. We thank you for your cooperation with our guidelines. Our first speaker will be Dee Edgerton, and after Dee Edgerton will be Carol Bailey.
Push the button. Okay, got it. I'm up here representing West tonight, West Middle School. I'm a teacher there, and I'm representing everybody that works at West Middle School and not just myself. Staff at West, we're weary, we're tired, and I think to myself that you all have to know what's going on at West. And then I realized maybe you don't, so I came here to share some facts about West tonight. A couple weeks ago on a Friday, I had to break up a fight in the hallway because there was nobody available. I used my body to shield a girl's face from being brutally beaten by another student. At that time, it took several minutes for staff to arrive because it was right at 4 o'clock as school dismissed, only to be called a female dog when she got up off the ground. This is what it looks like at West, and what I want to talk to the experts, because that's what they tell me, the experts are here. So I want to tell you that we're down 6 math teachers. That means that 462 of our 818 students are not receiving grade level math instruction, and we're struggling. 100% of our tier 2 instructional or intervention students in math are not receiving instruction by a certified math teacher. 62% of our teachers have an overage. Now, let's be honest, some of us need that overage because for me personally, without it, I can't pay my bills. We're struggling because who do we call when we need help? 2/3 of our counselors have taken on an extra class. Who do our students go to when they're in crisis? We're currently down 8.6 teachers, and soon it's going to be 9.6 teachers. Right now, I did the math here. I'm not a math teacher, but I did the math. There are 56% of our students that are not receiving math instruction at their grade level because of our shortages. So I just want to say that we're tired. We're tired of our students being pushed to the back of the bus. We're exhausted by the words and the rhetoric that we keep hearing day in and day out from downtown. Our principal has asked for help. I don't know what that help looks like, but she has asked for help. We're shielding and protecting our students with everything we have, only to be underappreciated and pushed to the limit to our faces. We need actual action, not just a job posting and empty promises. You might be asking why we don't leave, and in case you don't know, we're West warriors, and that's why we're not leaving. Thank you.
Am I supposed to press a button on this one?
I think it's on.
Got me? You can hear me? Hi, I'm Carol Bailey. I applaud the woman who just spoke and support them 100%. I have a foster grandchild there at West, too. Now, I wanted to talk about ICE guidelines for the school district. And I'm not privy to what the status of your ICE guideline policies are, but I want to encourage the school board to establish some clear guidelines and directions and policies and procedures in the event that our school and our community is visited by those federal agents. We've all seen the damage they've done to other communities, to daycares, private homes, and to our citizens. And I'm quite certain there are many parents and children very, very concerned about ICE agents attempting to broker school property. So I would ask the school board to establish some clear guidelines for parents, for school staff and employees so they know what to do to handle this situation, if it can be handled at all, and to designate all school property, not just buildings, but surrounding properties, as well as school buses, as well as non-school property where there are school-sponsored activities to be designated as ICE-free zones, and to post posters at all buildings designating these buildings and making it clear that they are ICE-free zones. I trust and I hope that school board members and officials have consulted with our local law enforcement personnel to determine the proper procedures and policies to be done, but I want to encourage everybody to focus on the safety of our wonderful children in our wonderful schools and to make sure that they can go to school and not live in fear of being removed, of their families being destroyed, of parents being arrested on picking them up from school, etc. We all know the stories, and I know you have a lot on your plate, but this is one of those issues that also deserves some priority. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Angela K. Larson, and she will be followed by Elizabeth Ulrich. I think you got to push that button.
Oh, there we go. I'm Angela K. Larson, the CEO of the Greater Rockford Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak, but also to hear the other speakers. This has been incredibly enlightening. As you know, the Chamber represents the voice of our region's business community, and in doing so, we are pleased to support you in your superintendent search by sharing our expectations for the next leader of RPS 205. I sent this information to you in an email last week and really appreciate this opportunity to share it in this forum. Recognizing that our schools are critical to business and talent retention and attraction, these expectations are prioritized based on which elements could potentially have the greatest impact in improving our region's school district and preparing our students to enter college, career, trade school, and military. Number one, strong business acumen in managing the assets, income, and expenses of one of our largest tax-funded institutions. An understanding of property taxes as the basis of funding, including local and state regulations governing tax rates and revenue, and the process for certifying the district's annual tax levy. Number two, experience in addressing chronic absenteeism and strategies to employ community stakeholders and organizations in increasing student attendance. Number three, and after tonight, I personally think maybe this one should be number one. Understanding the challenging demographics of our student body and our community's passion for working together to support our scholars, especially in training and retaining RPS students within our workforce. Thank you. Commitment to increasing students' proficiency in math and English language arts. Commitment to integrating employability skills into classroom teaching and extracurricular activities with clear metrics that are regularly reported to evaluate students' improvement. I love the work that you're doing. This is exactly what we see as needed to prepare the workforce of the future. Strength in leading a workforce that's partly represented by a union with respect, collaboration, and a focus on students and families. With that, skills in negotiation, communication, and providing feedback. And in the spirit of collaboration, as you all know, we offer our services, access to the business community to help you implement everything that you're striving to do to improve our schools. We understand that there's many variables that you're weighing to make this decision and really appreciate that you would consider the perspective of the business community. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am overwhelmed. I am stretched too thin and I don't make enough money. Please explain to me why I earn about $10,000 less per year than a colleague who works in Belvedere. Per the IIRC, both Belvedere middle schools have a student mobility rate of 6%. IIRC says that West's rate is 15%, which I think is way low, but regardless. As stated, that's 250% higher. Belvedere's middle schools have chronic truancy rates of 22% and 24%. West's chronic truancy rate is 63%, nearly 300% higher. All those stats drive one really important stat. West's teacher retention rate is 69%, which also I think is way elevated, while Belvedere's middle schools is 90%. The current year's retention for West will be very low. We've already lost 4 or is it 5 people since the school year began, and 1 more is leaving in a few days. Shouldn't I earn more money than someone who works in these conditions that are so much easier? Not $10,000 less? Since multiple teacher positions are vacant, that means that every day we have dozens of classes that teachers have to cover by subbing during their planned period. My principal has to sub at least 1 class period per week because we are spread too thin. I believe in the CHAMPS program. I believe that West can improve our test data in a big way. Kids are engaging with text, on task and working. Imagine this, learning. Our school has made so much headway with student behavior, particularly time in class instead of the hallway and time on task with no phones. But those gains are sliding away every day because those of us who have not quit or been dismissed are overwhelmed and spread too thin. Please spend a day at West. Walk the second floor hallways and see that the kids only go to class when they feel like it. Come and sub for a class. See what passing period is like. Put in some earplugs and go to the lunchroom. I'm spread too thin, I'm overwhelmed, I do not make enough money. Put together a fair contract for the REA.
Thank you. Rundle, who will be followed by Avery Dillon. And Rundle.
I'm loving the passion in this room tonight because that's what it's going to take to change Rockford Public Schools and the success of our students. I'm here tonight just to remind you of the qualities that we listed. We spoke to you in August, the qualities we need in a superintendent. I actually had planned to talk about them, but frankly, you all have already talked about them, and so I don't need to repeat it. You have a paper in front of you that lists the qualities that Eliminate Racism would like to see in a new superintendent. I worked for the RPS for 16 years, and I worked through the changes of 11 different superintendents. And so that's really why I think this decision is so, so important. Changing a superintendent every other year is not a route for success. We need you to make a really carefully thought out decision that is really focused on the needs of the students we have in RPS and also the needs of the families that we have in RPS. So thank you. I know it's going to be a tough decision. It's probably one of the most important things you'll decide in your entire tenure on the school board. Thank you.
Thank you. Avery Dillon.
Good evening, everyone, sisters. My name is Avery Dillon. I work with the City of Rockford under the Mayor's Office of Community and Domestic Violence Prevention. I work at the Community Healing Center, which is a project funded by the Department of Justice, and we focus on bringing youth to the forefront of every conversation. Youth being in as many rooms as possible, making decisions on their own behalf about their communities in every single way. One of the initiatives that we have is the Youth Advocacy Board, which is a coalition of RPS 205 students from middle schools and high schools, all of which you serve. The majority of the students come from RISA. We have one of them today, Miss Malia Sasha Ellison. So give her a round of applause for showing up. Our goal with our year-long initiative with these students is to prepare them in ways that is already happening within their community, but very intentionally teaching them how to be their own best advocate, whether it's in meetings like this, in the classroom, at home, in sports, and everything that they are in. They will be back. They will be coming for you. They will be asking you why, how, and what you plan to do for them in the future. And I'm here to prepare you. They have a lot of concerns. Every month, for 2 hours, we sit with them and we help them craft and sit with things that are bothering them about this community. Not just at RPS 205, in the city, in their homes, in their specific communities. And they are getting ready. These are young leaders that are coming up, and they are asking for your help, and I expect you to answer them. So we will be back. Thank you.
Thank you. John Tack Brantley. Yes.
Good evening, board members, citizens of Rockville, Illinois, but mostly those that's watching. I commend the brothers and sisters for change. I am John Tack Brantley, the CEO of Renewal Turning Point Program. Back in 1980, I was hired for the Turning Point Program. I was a family counselor and an advocate at West High School, and my attention was addressing kids that was in trouble, kids that was being absent, and kids that was missing school. That was my top priority. Here today, I'm still doing the same thing as Renewal Turning Point Program. I went from 3 kids at the beginning of the school year to now I have 32 kids. I have Reese School, I have Whitehead. I go from Whitehead to McIntosh to Welch to Lewis Lennon to Elder School. What I want to bring the attention back to is West Middle School. Back in 1972, Richie Gardner had a lawsuit. Richie Gardner was arrested and had to pay a $40 fine, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court. What it was about the lack of minority administrators and teachers and the lack of ethnic studies at their school. 1972, the Supreme Court voted 9-0 in our favor, yet nothing happened. Back during the 90s, we had another lawsuit when they took West High School and made it to a middle school. We won that. 4 schools came out of that: Barber School, West Risha, Lewis Lennon, and Ellis. The only school that profited from that was Barber School. I commend Barber School because they 98% Hispanic. How was the Hispanics able to accomplish everything they accomplished at Barber School? I asked the brothers and sisters, look up what Barber School have done, what they have accomplished, and why we can't accomplish that here. I look at Dr. Reed, and I asked Dr. Reed this here question. Renewal Turning Point had asked about meeting with Dr. Reed. Everything y'all talking about doing, Renewal Turning Point is already doing. We and with Faith at Fab's studio, we want to take 100 kids to the Harlem Globetrotters game at the end of December. Harlem Globetrotters will have 100 years of their anniversary here. We always take 5, and no matter how many numbers of people you take to the ice hall game, where they fighting at the ice hall game, but take them to the Harlem Globetrotters. Harlem Globetrotters was the first team where the NBA started hiring Harlem Globetrotters players, which brought up the NBA attendance. Harlem Globetrotters was bringing in 2,000 to 4,000 people at their game, where the NBA was only bringing 800 to 1,200 people at their game. I'm paying $140 on gas.
All right.
I'm spending.
Thank you.
My time up.
Yep.
But I also want to thank the teacher union for looking out for me last year and giving the gas money.
Thanks.
We need more than 3 minutes.
All right. We are now on to performance and monitoring. The team will now present the system-wide framework 2025 results. Next to June.
Okay, I'm going to kick off our presentation on our system-wide framework. And before we jump into talking about our system-wide framework, just a little bit of background of what it's about. In our district, we really believe it's important to have standards of practice that we ensure all students have the opportunity to receive best practices in instruction, but we also want to make sure we have standards of service, that our district office is doing what it needs to support our schools. And obviously, in both areas, there is work to do. And here we are going to be reporting to the board about things that are going well, but also things that do need to be improved. I'm going to be sharing the stage with both the schools team and Christina from the Department of Continuous Improvement, and we're going to combine to tell a little bit about what our work has looked like with the system-wide framework. This framework launched in 2021. At the same time, we launched our focus on having pretty significant targets for literacy improvement, graduation rate, on-track rate. And this was, if that is what we wanted to accomplish, this would be a good description of how we wanted to accomplish it. This is not going to just be another data presentation. We did a whole bunch of that at our last meeting when we had our state scorecards, and we had a much deeper dive there. But there will be some data when we're going to talk about the data that is connected to the practices that we are accomplishing in our classrooms. And just a reminder that this is something that we are attempting to do to ensure there is consistency across all of our schools. And not only do we want consistency, but we want consistency with high expectations to ensure that those students, no matter what classroom they're in our district, they receive a similar experience. And we're making progress. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today, but we're also going to talk about where we're not making enough progress. And we are going to talk about the standards of practice, the standards of service, and all of the things that we are doing together to ensure that things are improving right here with our universal goals. We did want to see our early literacy scores improve. We did want to see our middle school on-track rate improve, so we set the tone for success in high school. And we did want to see our high school graduation and on-track rate improve. And as you can see here, we made real strides in that area. We significantly achieved our literacy target. We were also just missed, we have 1 year to go, but we've just under where we want to be with our middle school on track. And you can see year over year, we continue to make improvements on grad rate and freshmen on track. But I also want to talk about what's next. Yes, we have achieved and pretty significantly exceeded where we were with our universal goals, but those were never meant to be the end of the road. We know that there's more that we want to accomplish. Some things that are coming, and this was alluded to with some of the board questions, we have got to see improvement in ACT scores at the high school level. We do have 56% of our students that are leaving with some type of a career certification, but we want to get as close to 100% of students that leave with a career certification, a college credit, a college readiness ACT score in math and reading. Lots of ways we can show that readiness, but there is more work to do that goes beyond what we set for our universal goals. Next thing that we've made progress on is we've seen really dramatic increases, and Christina will walk you through this, on our scores on the state scorecard. We've seen about a 10% average increase. High schools have gone up almost 20% from when we started tracking with this new scorecard system. But there's a new accountability system that we're going to be walking into this year that has raised the bar for what the state expects of us. And it is not a mystery to this board, because you are seeing and we're actually having board meetings in these 9 intensive schools. We know we have schools that are the furthest from opportunity and need work. So it is a challenge to build on our success with school scorecard, knowing that there will be an even higher bar with the accountability system and 9 schools that are in that intensive status. And then finally, we've had commenters allude to this evening, the challenge of chronic absenteeism, student mobility, and many of the things that make this challenging. We want to make sure that we not only achieve the state average, but we go significantly beyond that when it pertains to chronic absenteeism. I think we can all agree, if we don't continue to make progress, and we're proud of the fact that we've gone from 61% to 42%. We're proud of what Dr. Reed and Jarmise have done with the Brothers and Sisters for Change, with the bags work that can help in all of these areas. But we acknowledge today that this is both a cause for celebration, but it is even more a call to action to do more. And I think there was a lot of action orientation in the room tonight, and I appreciate that. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Gallagher to walk us through the standards of practice.
Just a reminder, the purpose of our standards of practice are a quick snapshot of our internal progress to serve as leading indicators towards that state report card. And our theory is if we get better on our standards of practice, we will see better student outcomes and higher state report card scores. And to visualize that theory, this graph illustrates that correlation that we hope to see from our standards of practice to our scorecard. For example, our blue dots, those elementary schools, there's a high correlation of what they receive on our internal standards of practice scores to what they're going to get on the state report card, meaning that it's pretty predictable if you're doing well on our standards of practice internally that they are going to get a correlated score on their state report card. Our middle schools and high schools still have a bigger gap in their correlation, which you'll hear about more later in the presentation for some of the changes that were made because of that gap that we saw. And just a reminder, just a couple weeks ago, I presented the state report card designations report, and this is the ultimate goal. And one thing that this slide does not show, though, is what Dr. Jarrett alluded to, is that we've made some gains inside those raw scores that don't translate to change in designation quite yet. You can see as a district, we gained 8.4 points in our raw score in summative designation, with seeing double-digit improvements in just 2 years for our high school and middle school and special programs, which leads saying that we need to continue that work and continuous improvement in these leading indicators. As a reminder that this year, the data you're about to see for the 25 school year is the first year of our system-wide framework 2.0. So although we've talked before about some of the changes, just a high level of some of the changes that were made in the system-wide framework 2.0 is we lessened the amount of standards of practice at each level. This was to provide a greater focus so they could look at just a few things that were considered the highest levers for change in student outcomes. We also changed the rubrics of what we were looking for inside the standards of practice. We moved out of compliance to more quality, whereas our previous system-wide framework 1.0 was very much about are you doing the things? And System-Wide Framework 2.0, this new rubric that you will see the results for in this presentation, is are you doing quality teaching? Are you having higher teaching practices that require students to take on the cognitive load and student engagement? So this is a more rigorous rubric across all of the standards of practice that you will see in our 2.0. To illustrate this point, our elementary literacy standards of practice, in our first year in 2022, it was an average of 3.3 score. In our second year, it improved to 3.5. And then by the third and final year of System-Wide Framework 1.0, we had a perfect score in the elementary average for literacy. So our second System-Wide Framework Standards of Practice rubric became more rigorous. And although you will see that the score went down to a 3.5 from the 4.0, it's actually a higher improvement because we went from just a compliance standpoint on the rubric to expecting a higher rigor in what we were looking for inside the classroom. Similarly, our surveys were a consistent 3.5 to 3.8 to, again, a 4.0 because the standard of practice was by participation rate. We wanted our schools to do the surveys for our students, our parents, and our teachers. But our 2.0 rubric, we decided to become more rigorous, that it's not just about participation, it's our results in those surveys. So although we don't see as big of a change, it's moving in the right direction, that it's not just about participation. It's our 5 essentials participation for students and teachers, but also their results and the impact that our teachers and students are seeing inside the schools. And now I'm going to hand over to Dr. Gallagher to give more details about each level standards of practice.
Thank you. Evening, everyone. We're going to start off with the first level that we'll look at is elementary schools. I want to reiterate these scores that you're seeing. This is for the 4 standards of practice that we have at elementary that we started last year under the 2.0 standards of practice and system-wide framework. What you'll notice in particular with elementary, already in their first year, scoring an average of a 3.5 on the literacy standards of practice. That's very strong for their first year. If you look at the first year we did the 1.0, we were nowhere near a 3.5 as Christina just shared on her graph. Where you see where we're the lowest is the 5 essentials with a score of a 1.3. That 5 essentials score for the new 2.0 is low across the board because, again, we're not just looking at participation. There used to be 3 standard of practice scores that you would get for surveys. You'd get a score for a parent survey, a staff engagement survey, and a student survey. On top of those 3 surveys, where all you had to do is come up, participate, and have an action plan, everybody was getting 4s across the board. We also still, as a state mandate, had to take the 5 essentials, and we were being measured on our school designations, on our school ratings, how they did with the participation rate on the 5 essentials. So we went away from having those other 3 surveys where everybody was getting the easy 4, and we said on top of the participation rate that you need to hit 95% to get your full weight of points with the state, which all of our schools in the district hit that 95%. Now it's about how are you actually using the results of that survey. It's not just about making sure 95% of kids and 50% of teachers and 20% of parents take the survey. How are you using those results? We held an annual admin academy, as we have the last 4 years, in August for all of our school administrators, where they received training through the ROE on how to use those 5 essential results to drive school improvement. So when we look at our school improvement plans for any of our schools, you would see that they've now integrated those 5 essentials results that they're addressing in those school improvement plans. Looking at middle school, what'll stand out to you starkly is the 0.2 score average of aligned instruction. But what I want to point out for middle school is their highest score is MTSS at just a 1.2. Christina didn't talk specifically about the MTSS standard of practice, but I will say while the rubric, which is extensive and highly rigorous, the rubric primarily remains the same, the bar in terms of how we score it has risen now that we've had our MTSS rubric in place 4 years prior, this being year 5. We expect to see more than a 1.0 after 5 years, right? So we're moving up on that. See special programs because they're special and they have their own special curriculum that they only have 2 standards of practice, being the 5 essentials and MTSS. Looking at early childhood, also very dialed in on just 2 standards of practice starting last year, and Pyramid is their equivalent of MTSS in early childhood. High Scope is the play-based curriculum that they use. And then looking at high schools, and again, starkly, what you'll see here is that there was a score of 0 on that aligned instruction with the new 2.0 of the instructional standard of practice there. So that 0 really lit a fire for multiple departments, including the schools team and our curriculum department and MTSS. And so when we look at that, previously, giving context, under our 1.0 standard of practice for secondary instruction, it was very much check the box compliance based, where we were just telling them, do the thing, deliver the curriculum. And so what we were measuring is, are you giving the assessments provided by the curriculum department? When we moved to the 2.0, where we see the score of 0 at high school and a score of 0.2 at middle school, we shifted from compliance to quality. We really wanted to see that students were asking questions, that they're gathering evidence, that they're communicating conclusions. We wanted to see evidence of all 3 of those on the rubric, and if we didn't, they weren't hitting the mark, and they're scoring a 0. But what we realized is that after last year, we also had to pivot. And so this year, we are using a revised rubric for aligned instruction, which is more closely aligned to the rubric that we see at the elementary level, because we've seen that high level of correlation of success between the standards of practice at elementary and how elementary is performing with their state designations. So now, under the rubric that we have this year, we have a much larger sample size of classrooms that are being visited. We have many more people as REA or admin as members of the standards of practice teams that are going into the classrooms, so that it is not just one administrator or one curriculum director that is conducting the standards of practice, but people that are actually in the buildings. And this all allows, with this year's revised rubric, what I would say is like the 2.1 rubric, feedback that's much more specific and much more actionable. We have several members of our schools team and curriculum department here that could also share with you, as this solidifier, the many, many things that we're doing to address quality teaching and instructional practices in our classrooms. Before you may have any questions for them, though, we're going to have Christina close us out with evidence from our standards of service.
Thank you. So just like we have our standards of practice for our schools, our central office is held to our standards of service. And in the May, June season, you typically hear from me the survey results, in which I talk about the standards of service survey results. But just like our standards of practice got a higher rigor of what their rubric was, our central office also got a higher rigor in that we added a layer to our standards of service. Each school picked one department that they wanted to work through a challenge or a barrier with in order to provide a higher level of service. So every school picked a department, and we had multiple sessions where the school staff with the department that they selected and Dr. Jarrett and myself went out to hear what they were struggling with and listen to the challenges that they were experiencing. And some key themes emerged, and we also provided some quick wins. So in addition to some quick wins that were very school specific, so for example, Haskell worked with the nutrition services department to provide some STEAM-focused healthy choices and a visual menu board that created some really great educational partnership. We also have some just high-level themes that came out of these 25 sessions with 41 schools that we did last year. One, our registration process that we really spearheaded to make sure that our online registration was a priority, because we saw that a lot of schools were struggling with not having the right information on day one. So in 2024, our online registration rate was only at 32%, and last summer we ended at an 86% online registration from that campaign. Our special education and our student services department heard in a lot of their services the need for our students, and hundreds of students were individually reviewed by their team to ensure best placement for day one of school for a lot of different programs. We also heard that our new teachers need help before the first day of school to know exactly what to teach. So a cross-departmental team came together to provide a professional development for our new teachers of 5-day curriculum building, so they knew and felt prepared to teach on day one. And then you've heard some of the work today on that high expectations for students and staff. Across the board, schools were asking to raise the bar on what we expected of our students. You heard about some of our BAGS partnerships. In December, at our Committee of Whole, you'll hear about our CHAMPS and Safe and Civil Schools AROI. And we've already done over 1,500 classroom visits this year based off of those CHAMPS and Safe and Civil School partnerships that you'll hear about. Already, we still have a few more sessions to go, but since we're already in it, I felt like I should give you an update of where we're at with these sessions. We're already seeing some themes that are across the board going to be an area of focus for the district. We see a high need for our transitional grades, EC to kindergarten, 5th to 6th, and 8th to 9th. Our schools are reporting that we have a pivotal need for student success for each of these new settings. So a cross-department team will work together to figure out how we can help support and provide information to on-ramp those students into their new settings. Our transfer students, with such a high mobility rate in our district, there's a large amount of students transferring in, and there's an information gap to our schools that are receiving these students, that we need a better on-ramp to success for our transfer students. And then across the board, different levels, contents, experience, and different staff are requesting more professional learning that is real-time applicable, job embedded into their workday, that they can practice hands-on in their classroom or in their setting. So that will probably also become a priority as we finish out these standards of service sessions. And so what we've learned from these standards of service sessions, that we like doing these, we get to hear directly from the staff, is when we provide them a structured opportunity to have a conversation with central office, we can hear a timely response to what they need, and we can build a systematic response for all of the schools, not just the one raising the issue. And with that, I will ask if we have questions about the standards of practice or standard of service.
Ms. Bennett.
Okay, my question is for Dr. Gallagher. One of the slides that you reviewed, slide 18, specifically for middle school. Okay, for the MTSS score, can you re-explain or restate what you said about the score and, yeah, just.
So the MTSS rubric is based off of 4 different components for building your MTSS systems and structures. The 1.0 rubric, the language is pretty much the same from the 1.0 to the 2.0. However, we've raised the bar higher in the 2.0, where it's more difficult to get the scores, because we don't want to, after 3 years under the 1.0, we shouldn't still have schools that are at a score of a 1 after that 3 years, right? So we need to keep raising the bar so that we really get to see that they're at the highest level of achievement that they can get for their MTSS score.
So, okay, so what I hear you saying, or how I'm understanding it, and you tell me if it's not correct. If the score was 1, so in theory the schools were not getting above a 1, right? The root cause of why they were not getting above a 1 wasn't necessarily addressed, but then we raised the bar to make it more difficult to get a higher score with not getting a score. Is that correct?
Can I say yes and no?
Sure.
I'd love to get back to you. Amy Gannon, of course, is the director of MTSS, and I'd be happy to share the specific scoring mechanism that we use from the 1.0 to the 2.0. It's a little bit more nuanced than what I'm able to communicate here, because it's not just like saying, like, now we expect a higher overall score. There is a little bit of nuance to that, but I'd be happy to share that with the board.
Okay, and I think Mrs. Miller has something.
So I can give just a high-level summary of some of the changes in the MTSS rubric. So instead of the rubric being a whole and you get a cumulative support of scores, it's now you have component 1. So you create the foundations of a team. And in that, to get a 1, they also added attendance this year. That was not on the MTSS rubric before, with chronic absenteeism being such a high issue. Is we added, you not only have to have a core foundational team, but you also have to have systems of response to help support attendance. And so that's how you get out of a 1, is if you can do those first things. And then step 2 is that you have the next level of support. And as you get a higher score, you get to go through the next components. Whereas before it used to be a cumulative score of all the things that you were doing for MTSS, but now it's like a stair. Is first you have to create this foundation, and you're approaching all of the issues of MTSS, and then you can earn your points in each of the categories. So that's how we made it a little bit more rigorous, whereas before it was people could earn points throughout the whole rubric, and now you have to show that you've demonstrated the foundational needs before you can earn additional points.
Okay, that's very helpful. Thank you.
Better said. Yeah, come on.
Good evening, everyone. I'm one of the point people for MTSS for our team, working with Amy Gannon. One of the other layers of support that we provide for our schools, in addition who are scoring in either 0, 1, or 2, we have a tiered support system. So Amy and her deans go out and provide extra support to those schools. They have more hours of hands-on experience and support and working through their rubrics so that they can get out of each component than the other schools that are scoring higher. So I just want to make sure that it's not just we're giving them this harder rubric and you're struggling, but we are providing even extra support so that they can make it out, which is different than what we've been doing before.
Okay, and I appreciate that feedback because I know that there are a few middle schools that have struggled year after year after year, and they are doing the best they can. They are implementing everything that they have in their power to implement with the people that they have. And so I appreciate the schools that in theory are doing better and are excelling and are close to 3 and 4. I think one of our middle schools has a 4. That one in theory doesn't need as many resources, so those would be allocated somewhere else just to help those that are struggling. So
absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep.
To your point, we did hear that there were MTSS concerns at West. They're getting significantly more support than RESA, which was at a score of 4.
I had a question about the SOS solution session. That's interesting to me, and I was just kind of wondering, is that something that will be continued this year? So maybe schools have a different department they want to work with this year.
Yeah, so we did change a slight. Last year, we had people pick in like fall, and then we had I'm looking at Dr. Jarrett there, because we had a long haul of a lot of sessions trying to cram all those into the schedule since we started a little bit late. We learned from that experience, and last year, we had them select and talk to their staff at the end of the year so we could better schedule. So that's why it's November, and we only have 4 sessions left to do. So we will have all of this year's wrapped up by December because we got a little bit head start. We learned a lot of things and we liked the process, so we kind of front-loaded that a little bit better too. So we are continuing that. We're almost done with all of those sessions. We have just 4 left.
And one thing that's embedded in that, what you're seeing is sort of the view from Christina and I, where we're seeing all of the sessions and we're kind of highlighting the big themes that come out of it, which is my role in the process with support from the team. But there also are one of the things that's really powerful about this process is the faculty and principal selecting the department that they most need to improve a relationship with, most need to improve a process, or sometimes both. Or it's something that's going well that they want to go even better in some cases. And we get a wide variety of district departments that are selected. But what's powerful is when you ask a school and the faculty, staff, and principal to kind of get together and pick one department that they most want to work with, it is really powerful to see what is prioritized. And so there are quick wins that come from the partnership with that direct department that is there to listen. But there also are some longer term things that we talked about today. So I want to be clear that not only are those big emerging themes coming out of this to how the district can improve, but in many cases, there are some things that are getting done almost immediately to address something that is not working well, whether it's a system or a relationship with an existing department. And we really think this is important because if we are going to continue to raise the bar for standards of practice, we feel like it's important to model that with our district office to make sure that we are modeling that same level of raising the bar and accountability, because this is a team sport here, that we have to be in this together. So excellent question, and just wanted to highlight some of the details that are also happening in this process.
Thank you. Ms. Bennett?
Just one more question. For the transitional grades, would those be things like orientation, back to school nights, like just for example, in supporting those areas?
Yes, we're at a problem statement now that is emerging, and I think solutions will be developed, and those are certainly among the solutions. But if you look at our district right now with the mobility rate that we have, which is one of the highest in the state, some of our schools it's as high as 30%, but district-wide it's 15%. So if you take 28,000 students and you think about 15% of them are mobile in the year, either intra-district or intra-district, in the district or out of the district moving in and out, that means that almost somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 students without grade transitions are new students each year. Then figure that we have nearly 2,000 PK to K, nearly 2,000 5th to 6th, nearly 2,000 8th to 9th. So you add that up, and it's well over a third of our students are new students in our buildings. And our faculty and staff are telling us in these sessions how difficult that is. That at the beginning of the year, getting the students into the right space is really challenging. And as the year goes on, just as routines are established, new students are coming in all the time. So what I am really passionate about us trying to accomplish here is a series of solutions that would allow for a much more intentional and much more district supportive student screening and onboarding process. So we make sure that students, as they transition in design transitions, P to K to K, 5 to 6, and 8 to 9, but also our transfer students receive much more intentional screening support, much more intentional placement support. We have many stories that have come up from our schools of students who are coming in, and it's weeks before we have proper transcripts, weeks before we have proper information about IEPs and things like that. So we are really deeply committed to ensuring that our faculty and staff at the building level can have a better chance to know the backgrounds of the students they're supporting prior to their arrival. And when you think about that level of transition, some of that we can control with building better systems between 5th and 6th, 8th and 9th, and PK and K, but some of it is just making sure that we really tackle this transfer student issue, because student mobility is a significant issue, and I think there will be a wide variety of solutions that come out of this. More to come on that. We're still just really finishing the listening at this point.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks.
Ms. Chavez.
Yeah, I have a question. For the transfer students coming from out of district, is it actually another school district, or is it like newcomer students, or like?
Yes.
Which is
All.
it both? Which is, okay.
So we have a significant number of intra-district housing. You look at why would Rockford have such a high issue? Well, part of this is well outside of the control of the school district. We have major housing instability in our community. So when students move around, they often have to transfer. And so that may be an opportunity for board policy. That may be an opportunity for us to think about grade configuration. There are things we maybe could do. Also things we can do in partnership with our community to think about what we can do to further stabilize housing. So that's intra-district. When you start talking about inter-district, it also ties to some of those social factors. People are typically that are moving in the school year often aren't doing that by choice. It's because it could be due to students who are newcomers to our country. It could be students that are new to our city because things have gone badly with housing or circumstances in the city they're in or the community they're in. Very, very rarely is that an easy transition. And so the more we can do, whether it's intra-district or inter-district, we think there are significant opportunities for a stronger district support structure, because schools are bearing too much of the brunt of that right now. And we want to build some systems to address that.
Ms. Haley.
Yeah, as far as the slide 24, the special education and placements are concerned, as when you're looking at the teams, what are those teams comprised of? Who makes those? Are those teams made up of?
So this summer, my team, from Student Services, including Special Education and the MTSS team, pulled data on 1,600 students and reviewed those students' success in their current placement and made recommendations to the school building principals and their administrative team on student placements. And so we collaborated with them with those lists to determine where the students would be placed on day one. So the principals had the final and ultimate decision on that, but we did do all of the back legwork, making sure that we had attendance data for years, student discipline data for years, student progress for years, to look back and say, what is this student's progress? Was last year just a bad year? Or has this been we've been on the downhill slide for a while?
One of the things that was powerful about what Mrs. Lawrence and her team did is, by taking that proactive approach, what we were finding time and time again, and again, a lot of our listening sessions have led us to these concepts, but I think we see these in our board discipline packets. If we are not intentional about having students in the right placement on day one, those students are much more likely to end up changing placement through code of conduct. if we can get students the support they need on the first day of school and the right environment on the first day of school, we're less likely to have to use the code of conduct to get them to the placement they need. And I think that was a big part of what happened behaviorally with this work, but certainly academic and all the work tied to bags was part of that as well. So real huge shout out to Jen and her team on this one.
I just wanted to add, those placements included placements within the zone school recommendations for intervention courses.
Thank you.
Just one quick question on mobility. Do you have any idea of what the number of intra versus inter-district mobility is of that 15%?
I do not, but both numbers are substantial. Again, when you have a number of 15%, we had a few folks cite those numbers, and I think Christina Raber could probably give us some of the details. Do you have some of it off the top of your head?
I can't speak to the entire district, but our high schools alone, 1/6 of our high school graduating class every year are kids that did not start high school 9th grade at RPS. And of that 1/6, about 1/4 of them are newcomers to the United States. So just every year, that senior graduating class. So we're talking about hundreds of students every year did not start 9th grade at RPS, and then of them, about 1/4 of them are newcomer students in each graduating class.
Oh, thank you.
I would add to highlight that point. We've done some case studies with some of our high schools where you look at our graduation rate of our students that were, say, at East all 4 years, and their graduation rate is well into the 90% area. But we sit on average at 77%. So that's why Dr. Jarrett is saying there needs to be a real focus for how we're screening these students to make sure that they're getting the appropriate placements and services on day one when they come into our district.
Thank you. That's important information. Any other questions? Thank you very much for the presentation. It's really informative. The next item is 5B, the fiscal year 2025 audited financial statements. Is there a motion and a second to approve the fiscal year 2025 financial statements?
So moved. Second. I second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Ms. McCall?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Ms. Haley?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford? Yes. Ms. Chavez?
Yes.
The motion passes with 6 yeses, 1 absent.
Thank you. We're now moving on to agenda item 6, the performance and monitoring consent portion of our meeting. May I have a motion and a second to approve the items listed in section 6?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any consent items in section 6 that board members wish to have pulled for separate consideration? Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Ms. Haley?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Chavez?
Yes.
Ms. McCall?
Yes.
The motion passes with 6 yeses, 1 absent.
Thank you. We're now moving on to agenda item 7, the Planning and Development Committee action items. First is item 7A, the county school facility occupation tax. Is there a motion and a second to approve item 7A, the county school facility occupation tax?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Would you please call the roll?
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Ms. Haley?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Chavez?
Yes.
Ms. McCall?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
The motion passes with 6 yeses, 1 absent.
Thank you. Moving on to item 7B, the resolution to approve the tentative 2025 tax levy. At the committee of the whole, the board requested additional information, and so I'd ask Dr. Brown to share the requested information. Yes, or if you don't mind, thanks.
Okay, I know there was a request to look at some different scenarios. We had sent out 4 additional scenarios. I don't know if they're actually in this presentation or not. I know you have them in your packet. I'll just real quick review the original 3 that were presented. One was scenario A, that was no CPI or new property. That was a flat levy. Scenario B was to levy the tax on new property only. That would have generated about $866,000. Option C was to take the maximum allowable CPI of 2.9% and also take the tax on new property. That would generate about $5.2 million. The other 4 scenarios were iterations of that, of different points between 0 and the 2.9%. And so if you go to the next slide on that, I don't know if everybody can see it. There's scenarios D, E, F, and G. And so D would be a 1% CPI with new property. That's about 2.3 million. Scenario E would be 1.5% CPI in new property, 3.1 million. Scenario F, 2% and new property, 3.8 million. And then 2.5% on new property, which would be about 4.6 million. So those are kind of the in-betweens from a flat levy, all the way up. And then you can see I had included a page there where you could see what the increases were for a taxpayer of a $100,000 home, $150,000 home, and then a $200,000 home. And that scenario showed what the 2024 taxes payable in 2025 would be. Those are the taxes that were paid with the current year tax bill. And so you can see, there in that first line item, how much the taxes would be on those respective homes. And then you could see what the taxes would be on the various scenarios if you assume that someone's value actually stayed the same. So if they stayed the same at $100,000 or $150,000 or $200,000 home, they'd actually pay less tax under all the scenarios if the valuation on their home didn't change. If you assume that the value increased by the average increase in the county, which was about 10.1%, they're projecting for new property increases, you can see that there would be a slight increase on all the different homes from $100,000 to $150,000 to $200,000 home. If you were looking at a $100,000 home, if you looked at the scenarios there, someone could pay between $30 and $60 more on a $100,000 house. It's a similar increase really on all of them for $150,000 and $200,000 as well. $200,000 is a little bit more. You'd be looking at potentially, a $100 increase on a $200,000 home. And that's if you did the maximum amount. So what we do need tonight is a decision on one of the 7 scenarios, because we have to have at least 20 days between the tentative levy and the final levy, which we're planning on voting on the final levy on December 16th. So we really have to do something at tonight's meeting to make sure that we can carry forward what we're planning on doing with the final levy. So choice is yours. I just need to know which one it's going to be.
And to be clear, the choice is yours. This is my 13th year of superintendent. 11 of those years, I've personally recommended that we hold the levy flat. But this is the second time that the administration is recommending that we take the full CPI number. That is, of course, not our decision, but we are letting you know that based on the needs that we have in our community to meet continually increasing student need, and with the significant inflationary pressures that have been on our budget and the uncertainty around federal and state funding, both, we do believe that it is imperative that the board consider, even though that is not something any of us take lightly, to take the statutory tax increase of CPI. And we do believe that that will be necessary to maximize our ability to meet the needs of our students, deal with inflationary pressures, and protect us against what I think are going to be very, very uncertain both state and federal funding streams. It is in your hands, of course, but I did want to go out on that limb with you publicly.
Thank you for that information. I think procedurally what we need is a motion and a second to approve one of these 7 scenarios, and then we can discuss it. Ms. Stanford?
I would move that we would select option C, the maximum amount that we can take on the levy.
And is there a second? No, okay. I'll second that. And then, so at this point, the question would be, is there any discussion? Ms. Haley?
I don't know if this is the time that I could present another option.
Well, you can talk about what you think about that motion and why a different option might be something.
So my choice would be F, 2%, CPI new property. And the reason I say that is I understand that we do have responsibilities and that we need to meet with our students, but also we do have a type of loyalty to our taxpayers. So as a school district, I think that we should look more closely at our budget and see where we can make those cuts without burdening the taxpayer, but still taking some, the 2% CPI.
Thank you. Any other discussion? I know that obviously any decision to increase property taxes is difficult and uncomfortable, and it's difficult for the families in our district. I think that the point, though, about the uncertainty of federal and state funding is important. I think that, the federal funding, when there's obviously, we all know what's going on in Washington with federal funding, with the Department of Education. There were promises that if the Department of Education was cut, that money was going to go back to the states, that the feds were going to give that back to the states. Well, that's never happened. That's never been talked about happening. And if it's not even been talked about happening, I don't see that happening. And so I think that the uncertainty of federal funding is substantial, and that's why I would support the 2.9% that was the subject of this motion. Any other discussion? If there's no other discussion, then I think we can call the roll on the motion, Ms. Stanford's motion to take the 2.9% plus new property, scenario C.
Ms. Haley?
No.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes. Yes.
Ms. Chavez?
Yes.
Ms. McCall?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
The motion passes with 5 yeses, 1 no, 1 absent.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item 7C, Inspira Cobra Administrator. Is there a motion and a second to approve item 7C, Inspira Cobra Administrator?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Can you please call the roll?
Ms. Stanford,
Yes.
Ms. Chavez,
Yes.
Ms. McCall,
Yes.
Ms. Bennett,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
Ms. Haley.
Yes.
The motion passes with 6 yeses, 1 absent.
Thank you. Moving on to item 7D, donation of a 2005 Buick LeSabre. Is there a motion and a second to approve item 7D, donation of a 2005
So
Buick
moved.
LeSabre?
Second.
Any discussion? Can you please call the roll?
Ms. Chavez,
Yes.
Ms. McCall,
Yes.
Ms. Bennett,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
Ms. Haley,
Yes.
Ms. Stanford.
Yes.
The motion passes with 6 yeses, 1 absent.
Thank you. Item 7E is the classroom cruiser donation acceptance. Is there a motion and a second to approve that item?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Can you please call the roll?
Ms. McCall,
Yes.
Ms. Bennett,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
Ms. Haley,
Yes.
Ms. Stanford,
Yes.
Ms. Chavez.
Yes.
The motion passes with 6 yeses, 1 absent.
Thank you. Item 7F is the Curriculum Associates iReady reading for Marshall Middle School. Is there a motion and a second to approve that?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, can you please call the roll?
Ms. Bennett,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
Ms. Haley,
Yes.
Ms. Stanford,
Yes.
Ms. Chavez,
Yes.
Ms. McCall.
Yes.
The motion passes with 6 yeses, 1 absent.
Thank you. We're moving on to agenda item 8, the Planning and Development consent portion of our meeting. May I have a motion and a second to approve the items in section 8?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any consent items in section 8 that board members wish to have pulled for separate consideration? Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
Ms. Haley,
Yes.
Ms. Stanford,
Yes.
Ms. Chavez,
Yes.
Ms. McCall,
Yes.
Ms. Bennett.
Yes.
The motion passes with 6 yeses, 1 absent.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 9, which is the IASB items that proceeded through Governance Committee. Is there a consensus to have the board's delegate vote in favor of the changes to the IASB Constitution and in favor of the IASB resolution? Is anybody opposed to or believes that the board's delegate should not vote in favor of the changes to the IASB Constitution or in favor of the IASB resolution? Okay, everybody is in support of that. Thank you. The delegate assembly is Saturday, November 22nd. Ms. Haley will be our delegate. I'll be the alternate. Moving on to agenda item 10, the governance consent portion of our meeting. May I have a motion and a second to approve the items listed in section 10?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any consent items in section 10 that board members wish to have pulled for separate consideration? Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Haley,
Yes.
Ms. Stanford,
Yes.
Ms. Chavez,
Yes.
Ms. McCall,
Yes.
Ms. Bennett,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter.
Yes.
The motion passes with 6 yeses, 1 absent.
Thank you. We're now moving on to the closed session consent agenda item, including item 11A, the Workers' Compensation Settlement Agreement for PS, and item 11B, the HR Organizational Report. May I have a motion and a second to approve the items in section 11, closed session consent?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any closed session consent items that board members wish to have pulled for separate consideration? Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Stanford,
Yes.
Ms. Chavez,
Yes.
Ms. McCall,
Yes.
Ms. Bennett,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
Ms. Haley.
Yes.
The motion passes with 6 yeses, 1 absent.
Thank you. Moving on to item 12, student discipline, suspension, appeals, and expulsions. Item 12A, student H0031X-26 would be expelled for the remainder of the 2025-26 school year through the entire 2026-27 school year. 12B is student P0012X-26. That expulsion would be held in abeyance contingent upon an expulsion in abeyance agreement for the remainder of the 2025-26 school year through the first semester of the 2026-27 school year. Item 12C is student H0032X-26. Student would be expelled for the remainder of the 2025-26 school year. 12D is student H0038X-26. That expulsion would be held in abeyance contingent upon an expulsion in abeyance agreement for the remainder of the 2025-26 school year through the entire 2026-27 school year. Item 12E is student H0049X-26. The expulsion would be held in abeyance contingent upon an expulsion in abeyance agreement for the remainder of the 2025-26 school year through the first semester of the 2026-27 school year. May I have a motion and a second to approve the items in Section 12, student expulsions and suspension appeals?
So moved. Second?
Thank you. Are there any items that board members wish to have pulled for separate consideration? Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Chavez?
Yes.
Ms. McCall?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Ms. Haley?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
The motion passes with 6 yeses, 1 absent.
Thank you. Moving on to item 13, closed session consent items, student discipline EIAs. May I have a motion and a second to approve the items in Section 13, closed session consent items, student discipline EIAs?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any items that board members wish to have pulled for separate consideration? You don't, do you, Ms. Haley? Okay, thanks. Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Ms. McCall?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Ms. Haley?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Chavez?
Yes.
The motion passes with 6 yeses, 1 absent.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item, which is superintendent's report. Dr. Jarrett.
I am sad to announce that Braylon is not going to be able to be here. I know we all look forward to hearing the student voice, and Braylon did attend the last meeting, but he, like many of our SSAC members, is extremely busy, and he had a last-minute co-curricular commitment that came up tonight, and he sends his regrets. And I know you've heard a lot from me tonight, but there's one thing I do want to share, and that is it is School Board Member Appreciation Month, and I think it should be School Board Member Appreciation Month every month, because what you all do is absolutely outstanding for our community, whether it's making a difficult decision on the best ways to allocate resources at every meeting, difficult efforts that you put into reviewing very challenging student discipline issues, whether it is attentively being active and listening to our community about how we can improve our school district, and being just absolutely outstanding representatives. On behalf of our entire team and our community, I just want to express my gratitude for your volunteerism, for your hard work, and for the huge difference you've made in the district. I've been blessed to work with a number of outstanding boards during the time I've been here, and I am extremely grateful that I've had the opportunity to work with each and every one of you, and am grateful for your community leadership. So thank you for all that you do. If there was a way I could double your pay, I would. But we all know that the math doesn't work because you all do this on a volunteer basis. And thank you so much for the difference you make in the lives of children from this very, very challenging seat that you all share. Thank you.
Thank you for those kind words, Dr. Jarrett. We appreciate it. The next item on the agenda is board member comments. Are there any board member comments, action steps, other business, new business, agenda recommendations, or any other matters to discuss? Ms. Bennett.
I have just a few items. One is serious and one is fun. As Dr. Jarrett said, we have to make very difficult decisions given our financial status that we have and things that are well beyond our control here at Rockford Public Schools. And so mine is just a forward ask. So I know tonight we voted to have the sales tax put on for referendum in March. And just to ask that I would have is that we continue, as we have throughout this entire process, to be really transparent with the community so they know what those sales tax dollars go to, whether that's a specific page on our website to be able to have allocations to really know that we are using the funds in the way that we intended to do. Same thing with the levy. We're not doing this to do anything extravagant. We really are trying to cover our needs, the needs of our families, pay our teachers and our staff appropriately and equitably. And so it's really important to me moving forward. I know, for example, the Mental Health Board, they do a really great job every year of really showing you every single penny that, you know, the community put into their fund. And so that would just be an ask that I would have moving forward. And then my second fun thing is to remind everybody, December 2nd is our next Committee of the Whole, and it'll be at McIntosh. So we hope you can join us. We on the board, if people choose to do so, same for administration, are going to have Christmas, holiday, ugly sweaters of some sort. You don't feel free to not do that. That's also great too. But if you show up and you're like, why did nobody tell me? I'm telling you in advance. So you have plenty of time to be prepared. So hope to see you there.
Thank you. Ms. McCall.
Thank you. I just want to give a shout out to this Sunday. I was able to travel to Valparaiso University and see former Rockford Auburn High School superstar Rakim Chaney lead the, I forgot the mascot. Crusaders. The Crusaders to victory. He got player of the game, and then he got the player of the conference for the week. So it was great to see him. And there's another young lady from Rockford Lutheran, and right now I can't remember her name, but I got a good picture of both of them. She plays on the women's basketball team. So, you know, when I came in there, they knew about Rockford, and they talked about our scholars, both academically and athletically. So it was a good thing. And the Bears won, so. Too. There we go.
That was unfortunate, but all right, moving on. Ms. Haley.
So it came to my attention, I had a community member from the Arabic community approach me and let me know that, well, of course, it was Mustafa Abdal, so condolences to his family, but also he had mentioned to me that that the student code of conduct, he would like to see that, well, he would have liked to see that in Arabic. He had people from his community wanting to see that in the student code of conduct translated in Arabic. I don't know if that's done or not.
I was thinking it is translated in Arabic, correct? Okay. Thank you. Ms. Chavez.
Yeah, I know Nico had mentioned this, but now that we are entering the holiday period of December, just to be mindful of all the other cultures that represent our students, and then not everyone celebrates Christmas itself, but other holidays as well. So just to be mindful of that when we are communicating anything regarding holidays.
Thank you, appreciate that. I just wanted to mention that I attended a large district president's meeting a couple weeks ago, and the biggest, so I just want to report back on that. One of the things that IASB has is a advocacy ambassador program for school board members to get training and tips on advocating with legislative state representatives, congressmen, and I'll send that information out to all of you. I think it would be really good if we had, you know, at least one board member to participate in that. It's like a meeting every month for 6 months. I think so. I'll send that to you, and hopefully somebody will be interested in it. All right. And if there are no other comments, then I would take a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Have a good night.